So in this last video for chapter 8, we're going to talk about sell as is or process further problems. A very important definition to remember for these problems is the definition of a sunk cost. So the sunk cost is a cost that has been incurred in the past and cannot be changed regardless of what happens in the future. And a sunk cost is always ignored in these problems. So just an example of a sunk cost, let's say in 2018, someone purchased a new car for $36,000. So at this point in time, the $36,000 is a sunk cost. So perhaps like maybe they've been furloughed from their job or they've lost their job and now they're thinking that they would like to trade in their car for something less expensive. This $36,000 is actually a sunk cost. So it's actually not relevant to the decision to trade in or to not trade in. Instead, the cost that would be relevant would be the trade-in value of this car. So whatever the trade-in value is. Another relevant cost would be the cost of like a new car, a less expensive car that you would be looking at. But again, a sunk cost is a cost that has been incurred in the past that cannot be changed regardless of future action. So in S8-14, again, this is on page 482 of your textbook. This is a company that processes cocoa beans into cocoa powder at a processing cost of $10,100 per batch. So in this problem, that $10,100 is a sunk cost. So we're actually going to ignore that. So no matter which option we choose, we will have incurred the $10,100 to process the cocoa beans into cocoa powder. Okay, once processed, each batch of cocoa beans would result in the following sales revenue. So basically we have three options. We could sell as is, so we sell just the cocoa powder, or we could process the cocoa powder further into chocolate syrup, or we could process it even further into boxed chocolates. So what we want to do in the sell as is or process further problems is we want to look at the revenue and then subtract any additional costs. I don't really want that to be bolded. And then we kind of see where we're at with each choice. So in this case, it says the sales revenue from the cocoa powder would be $15,000. The sales revenue from the chocolate syrup would be $101,000. And the sales revenue for the boxed chocolates would be $196,000. Let me make that look just a little better. Okay. So then it says the cost of transforming the cocoa powder into chocolate syrup would be $67,000. So what this is saying is we could sell the chocolate syrup for $101,000, but we would be incurring $67,000 of additional cost. Likewise, the company could incur $175,000 of cost to transform the cocoa powder into boxed assorted chocolates. So again, if we sell the boxed chocolates, we're selling them for $196, but we had, keep in mind, this is additional cost of $175,000. You'll notice in this problem, we actually ignored the $10,100 because regardless of which step we do, we've already incurred the $10,100 to get to this point, the point of the cocoa powder. Okay, the company president has decided to make boxed assorted chocolates owing to its high sales value and to the fact that the $10,100 cost of processing cocoa beans eats up most of the cocoa powder profits. Has the president made the right or wrong decision? The president is wrong. He is very wrong in this case. So the thing that we would have is we want to look at the excess of the revenues over additional costs. So with the cocoa powder, we're kind of netting that 15,000. For chocolate syrup, that's not right. We would be netting like the 34,000. And then for the box chocolate, it would be the 21,000. So the thing to keep in mind in this case is we would actually recommend that they pick the chocolate syrup option, because the chocolate syrup option, again, your revenues exceed your additional cost by the largest amount, the 34,000. So that would be your answer. So that was the last video I was thinking of preparing for chapter 8. But if you have other questions on the homework problems, just send me an email and I could definitely, create a short video for you. Okay, thank you.